Okay, so I'm here to present about our new YottaDB management GUI, and I'm sure some of you appreciate why we need it. So, oops, this is our marketing slides, which I'll skip over, and you already know about this. So, why do we need a GUI? So, like one thing is like GDE, especially. Like, do you remember how to change the key size on GDE? Do you remember how to edit a routine? I know we're all experts at using Nano now. Know which processes are running on your system. How do you get the list of tables of Octo? So we have solutions for these. This is a YottaDB GUI. Oh, I don't know why I kept this slide. Never mind. Okay, so this is what the YottaDB GUI looks like, and I will show you a live demo. So I'll just go through these slides quickly. So this is like the main page. There's a dark theme. There are other languages. Here is the running processes. This is the global directory editor, GDE. This is editing routines. You can look at.
Does the global editor also work in Arabic?
I think it does. Then this is Octo, and I'm gonna do a demo. Oops. Okay, let's do a demo.
Sam, could you explain the difference between Octo and Rocto?
Sure. Octo is the product name itself. It's the SQL layer on top of YottaDB. Rocto is the remote client to Octo, and what it does is that you hook it up to any client that talks the Postgres wire protocol, and it will talk to Octo. So Rocto is basically a process that opens up a port that talks to Octo. That makes sense? David?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, good. All right, let me see. I can't. GoToMeeting is so fabulously designed, I cannot see the tabs on top. Here we go. So here it is. So this is also in that Docker image. So if you remember from yesterday when I presented on Octo, I showed this Docker image that I created. So I've also added code to it to put in the YottaDB GUI, and all you have to do is point your browser to port 8089. Most of the time it's going to be localhost 8089. So actually I'm going to click on that, and that's what you get. That's YottaDB, the YottaDB GUI. So a quick exploration. So here's running processes, and this is basically a first draft, so there's a lot of things that are not exactly working properly. But the idea is you click on a process, you get the process details, and you get the list of variables, and you get a list of intrinsic variables. And you can kill the process, which I'm not going to do because that's actually the web server. So
which web server?
So this is actually a fork of the M web server. It's not the M web server itself, but it's a fork of it.
Cool.
So this is the global directory editor, and there are things here that that work and don't work exactly. So not going to go over it in detail. We can talk more in detail if you have questions. So here are routines, and it tries to load routines. All right. Maybe it's actually trying to load all 20,000 or 30,000 routines. Who knows? All right, let's see. So you can filter it and just say PSOLBL star, get the label routines. And here is one. And you can edit them. So you can say extra comment here. And then hit on the save button. And it gets saved.
This is the YottaDB IDE.
It is an IDE, yes.
Oh, cool.
So that's, and you could open as many routines as you want, and you could close this. Oops, it is. Or if we open it back again, was that the one I modified? I can't remember.
Can you run unit tests?
No, not yet. Hold on, let me just see if it did save. Test, because I didn't see the save icon. Save routine. Well, apparently that part is not working. So it was working before. I don't know what happened when I last tested it. So okay.
One thing, Sam, it might be nice to have is to be able to save it to a different name.
Yep.
Add.
Absolutely.
Oh,
That's not a bad idea. So I'll capture that idea.
Sam, it's not working because you're presenting and it knows it.
Yes, I know.
by the way, thank you again to Joel Ivy for doing the unit test stuff. That's really helpful.
Thank you, Joel. It's been a lifesaver.
That's wonderful.
So, all right. So
And
that's
Sam
that.
added to that.
Oh, I know we can blame Sam, but I want to give you credit. Giving
All right,
credit.
so this is a list of globals of, and you could say, I want PS drug. That's one global I'm really familiar with, and you can click on it, and you can drill down, and so you could see like this says it's bleomycin, and here are the nodes, and if a node has multiples under it, you can expand it. You can expand it and it will show you what's under it. Now again, it's I think it's this kind of needs a little bit of work to make it look nicer, but this is the idea. It does do some features like VPE. So
Sam, is the as I recall the way that triggers work in GTM, you could, as I understand the way triggers work in GTM, you can attach them to particular nodes, or you can use a wildcard. Is this a place where you could actually show which triggers are attached to any given node?
you know what? This is a good idea. It's so this was going to bring me to the. It almost brings me to the end of the talk, which is this is very much a draft, and I need to know what features are most important for people. Personally, you know, I have a lot of parts of YottaDB I don't understand at all, like replication. So I'm always like interested in having a GUI that will show me like how far behind is the system in replication. Or another part of YottaDB that I don't quite understand is like, or I don't really remember is all the mupip, like database administration commands with mupip set. But I'm writing down the trigger idea, so that's very good. So show trigger definitions on the database.
Yeah. Another thing that just a pure user interface thing, the PS drug 1000, when it's collapsed, you have to click again to expand it out, but PS drug of 1000 will never be defined. And so it would be nice to have some mode where you don't have to expand it just to see the ones that are actually defined.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. Because this is roughly like a global lister,
It
except
sure is.
It just takes a whole lot more clicks than Global Lister is just to look at one entry.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and I do think it's more it's basically more clicks than is really needed.
In the search bar, can you put in part of the more than just PS drug? I mean, in the parentheses and over there?
I don't know actually. No, I don't think so. This just searches the global names.
So
Like if
you
I
can
do
give it a DWR.
PS, it just gives you like the PS globals down.
Can you try putting a ZWR thing in?
Sure.
Hi, I want to book the demo.
I've never tried this, but let's see. Nope, doesn't work.
Okay. I agree with Joel that would be useful.
Okay. So let's keep going. So there's that. So I showed you the globals. So Octo, here it is. And it brings up a list of tables that are defined in VistA. There are almost 8,000 tables. That's good. Doesn't mean there are 8,000 files in VistA, just that's how many tables there are. That's how many projected tables there are. Let's look for patient, and here's patient, and we could just bring up patient, and it's running a simple query, which you could customize at this point. So you could do select name, DOB, age from patient, and hit execute. And there you are. You get the patient name and age. And of course, these are very old patients, so I'm gonna say where I have to put the where before. Where age is less than 65. I might not find anybody, but we'll try. There you go. There's at least somebody who's 27 years old. There you are.
So I don't remember, Sam, but does the SQL interface from FileMan include titles as well as the names of fields?
Titles, what do you mean? Do you mean identifiers?
No,
Oh,
no.
no. Oh, the names. Oh, the title. Oh, no. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the title of the field
Yes.
versus. I believe not actually. No, I don't think so. I think
Also,
the field is just known by a single name. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost like 90% sure because what we do is, we basically call the SQLi package to do this stuff for us, which is like generate all the field names, and we use whatever SQLi generates.
okay. So also groups would be useful too.
I don't know how we could project groups to SQL. You're going to have to give me an idea on that.
Well, like you can have a group of fields called demog, and it's just an alternate name or a partial name for a whole group of fields. I don't know if this is even an SQL concept.
So we have views in SQL, and that's where, I know that's like one of the big things for Chris Combs is groups. So that's where we would like have this functionality, but then you're gonna have to create the group on SQL, and it's not gonna. It is possible, I suppose, to enhance the generator to create the groups once we have views. So
yeah, I was just trying to encourage people to use some of the less known parts of FileMan. I just think the power is there, and just want to make sure that people know they can do it, and make sure the Octo.
yeah, but I don't think FileMan itself even uses groups except for in the DDL. That's it. I don't think you could use them in like a
It does. Yeah, you can do an enter edit items and put a group name in instead of a name of a field, and it'll let you edit all those fields.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I think it even works in Prince.
Wow. Okay. So I think there's nothing else basically. So it's pretty much and I showed you like you could change the theme and switch the language. We just switches like the various the labels.
I want to mention to Bhaskar that I think that what Sam has got here is great, and I think creating issues and such on the GitLab is great, but I just wanted to be verbal.
Oh,
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to the presentation for now. So, all right.
Independent of that, I think the GUI looks really nice, by the way. The colors and the arrangement and everything looks good.
Well, we have to thank the developer for that. He did a wonderful job. So, so here it is. This is the link. And as far as technical architecture, because people are really, I know this audience is very interested. So it uses Vue.js. There's something called Quasar. It provides the controls. It's basically we use npm node that node to build the actual servable bundle. So it just gets into one HTML files and JavaScript. But Node itself is not used to serve the code. We have a small embedded MWeb server that's used instead, and it talks to YottaDB using web services. And you could try it yourself using this command. So the actual install process, if you want to go to the software, it's documented in the README. Is you need to do npm install, npm run build, and then start the web server with this. YDB dist YottaDB dash run start %YDB web. And that's pretty much it. So let's see how I'm doing on the time. I don't see the clock.
You're doing fine, Sam. We've got and we got Olivier, by the way. He's going to be coming this afternoon.
Okay, good. All right. So this is very much like a prototype, and there's a lot that we haven't decided to do yet, including like the exact install steps and what features are in there. And there are a bunch of bugs that need to be fixed. But I think what I would like to hear the most from you guys is what features would you find useful, and so we could prioritize these.
So Sam, I was busy looking at trying to get Olivier. So did you talk about anything about the stuff that has to do with setting up not globals, when we've got the RX norm stat and the memp stat and whatever?
Yep. It's right here.
And you showed it already. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I haven't showed you setting up setting one up. So let's see. I don't think it doesn't really work that well right now, but we can try one. So let's say we'd say RX norm, and we could say on view g RX norm.dat. I hit OK. So it actually updated the file and added the RX norm mapping, but notice that the mapping is wrong. We're not mapping RX norm, so we need to actually edit that. So we go to edit, And so it just lets you edit the region mapping. So that's not exactly what we wanted. So again, that's why I'm saying there's a bunch of work that needs to be done on this side. But what we can edit and work successfully is this guy. So if you hit edit here, you can say, well, its key size is 256 bytes, and its record size, I know RX norm records are really long, so I'm just going to give it like 16,000 bytes or something. So there you are. So that updates it, and that part works properly. Oh, and I could change journaling. So let me see, change journaling. Enable journal, and put the journal.
Except you don't want a journal RX norm, right? But that's nice. You could do it. Or you could not.
Yeah, you could do all of that. So it's in the right direction. But what GDE really needs is a wizard, because and you know, a wizard that will show the most common options. So oops. Okay. So
well, this is pretty
anyway, and oh, here's the global. That's what I wanted to edit. Sorry. I think it works. Let's see. No, it doesn't work. I can't find a way to edit. Oh well. So here we go. We hit apply, and you can then say create database file, and say RX norm, and hit OK, and it will create the database file for you.
Wow, very nice.
So there's a lot of it that works.
So Sam, I got I don't know if this could be done or not, but this is, I mean, it's very exciting how the ways that Octo, that YottaDB, you know, understands, you know, understands VistA better than any implementation and anywhere, you know, with the grokking, FileMan, DDLs, etc. So the so this reminds me that about the problem of Taskman jobs running or not, or if, or you know, let's say the M web server is has glommed onto port 9080 and won't let it go, and you know, and inside we think it's starting, you know, you got a starting, and it's not starting because it can't grab that. So you've got to go and you got to I mean, on cache you use a cache sys something. There's a bunch of stuff you do on cache which are not sensitive at all. They don't know anything about Taskman or anything like that. But so you understand the problem?
I do. So this is kind of helps answer that question. This running processes thing. Again, It doesn't really work that well, but gives you the idea. So you click on it, and you can you can look at devices here, for example, and it will tell you what sockets are open.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. So now, I guess, you know, something, would it be possible to actually detect by knowing where the Taskman tables are, you know, what Taskman thinks is running and not. And actually a resolution, what would you call that? A resolution tool between Taskman and what's running.
So this is strictly not really the domain of YottaDB, because we're going to have to look into VistA data.
Right.
We can display to you what processes are running, and
right. I know, but I was suggesting that just like you look into the FileMan data dictionary.
Yeah.
That this tool might just, because basically it's going to make this so much more powerful than any other M environment for working with VistA.
Another thing, Sam, could you pull down the documentation tab? Is that going to pull up YottaDB web documentation, or what's the documentation tab going to do?
There's nothing there right now, actually, Raphael.
Okay, because I think that would be a huge benefit to have online documentation integrated. And
Yeah,
if there's,
absolutely.
and if any way
I
to
definitely
have,
know that. Yeah.
and particularly documentation search feature. I think Bhaskar has it implemented with a Google search, but if you use some kind of simple indexing of your own documentation served up with your own web server, so you've packaged the system with the documentation with a web server that provides you the authoritative documentation with some kind of simple search functionality, that would make things just really nice.
Our documentation is actually built using Sphinx, and Sphinx, that's a Python package. It's written using RST, which is a Python markup language, and we search it using Sphinx. By the way, it's not searched externally. It's all could be integrated here easily because there's just a bunch of HTML and JavaScript files. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, actually, let me comment on that for a minute, which is that the way that you can actually just do a wget of the documentation website docs.yottadb.com, and in fact, that's essentially the way we publish it, which is to pull it from a place where we build it and then just push it back out. Now, actually, we use rsync, not wget, but you could use wget a curl or whatever. There is actually an internal search function within the documentation, but currently that's broken in Sphinx, and the Sphinx people are aware of it, and at some point when they fix it, it'll start working on YottaDB itself. And by the way, we don't actually use Google search. We use DuckDuckGo search.
Oh, so you can have DuckDuckGo search your HTML files and have that provide your search capabilities without advertisement.
That's actually integrated with the documentation. On any documentation page, if you scroll all the way down at the bottom and type in a search term, that actually will take you to DuckDuckGo search.
Oh, okay, great. And you can submit your documentation to DuckDuckGo to index and leverage that.
I don't know that we actually submit it. They seem to do it themselves from time to time.
Oh, good. So it's advertisement free. That's great.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, with this time, I do have set up a little demo of some web GUIs for YottaDB and the monitor, Grafana monitor, and a Visual Studio Code, web version, FileMan query, web query stuff. I've got that when there's some time to squeeze in. It'll be about 10 minutes, but I've got that up and running as a Docker container. as a separate thing, not to. This is really excellent.
We actually have time here if that'll fit with what Sam's doing.
Okay, yeah, it fits in with the making YottaDB accessible through the web. If you want, you can give me screen control, or what do you want me to do?
Let's find out if Sam's done or not.
Yeah, so we're kind of wrapped up on the presentation. I just want to know if anybody has any other suggestions of things they would like to see in the YottaDB GUI. I saw George. I'll write down George. I wrote down online documentation, which Raphael you mentioned, and George wants like integration with Taskman, so that or other VistA primitives. Like I don't know if there's a process that has a VistA tie-in and it detects it's a VistA tie-in, we could add a column to the table. Any other suggestions?
Speaking of processes that are external to Yotta, sometimes we generate mail using SendMail out in the Linux world.
Yeah.
So some idea or some interface to some of those processes might be useful too. Especially if you have an outstanding one for like RPC broker that you could just see if it's working properly. In other words, some kind of way of putting in a Linux command and getting the results of it on the GUI.
Well, all right, sounds like, I mean, this almost a bit out of scope, but I'll say like a plugin mechanism to monitor other processes, although this is becoming like the domain of other tools at this point.
Oh, you do have a plugin mechanism for the GUI? I'm sorry,
No,
I didn't hear that.
but this is like what Raphael's group has kind of worked on, which is like they were exposing data from YottaDB into Prometheus Grafana, that's kind of its job, is to do like this kind of monitoring.
Cool.
And the other thing, Sam, is I'm a real fan of Edward Tufte and like very high density infographics. I don't know if there's some appropriate D3JS visualizations that can give you, the user, like a really high level. It'd be very data dense, but just an overview of like what's the size and scope and profile of the files and data. Just one picture says all, a kind of like situational awareness picture of some sort.
All right, D3 visualizations for various operational states.
Yeah, so size and scope and profile of somehow, just really high level.
Yep. Okay. All right.
I think that's what Sam has done in the past with his system status thing, but I don't know if there's a application environment system status that has been incorporated into his UI or not.
Yeah, but something, Vivian did, VistA specific stuff, but something that gives you, a more general purpose for a globals database that is appropriate for a globals database.
Yeah, I think of Vivian as a kind of a static view, and what I was hearing you say is a more dynamic view.
Yeah.
Actually, interestingly, way back when we created this was done by Christopher Edwards, a thing where we use Chernoff spaces for displaying high dimensionality data coming out of an M database. That was not quite related to performance data, but that might be something worth considering. And I think he did that with D3. But anyway, that is a long time ago. It's out there on the GitLab under YottaDB because everything we do is out there, but it hasn't been looked at for a long time.